Hello, you are now tuned into WCEG Media Enterprises. We are the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. Here, we speak life into the community. So go ahead and search up WCEGtalkradio.com, sit in front of your smart TV, and get us up on YouTube and LinkedIn, or you can just subscribe for the latest updates and happenings. My name is Travis Hall, and for the next hour, you will be tuned into my show, The Heart Atlanta. One more note, topics and opinions held are those of the show hosts and not those of WCEG Media Enterprises. So welcome to The Heart Atlanta with me, Travis Hall. Today we're going to discuss some music copyright from a songwriter's perspective. So whenever you get a song, you have two main copyrights, the master copyright and the compositional copyright. That compositional copyright is going to break down into two shares, the writer share, which will go to you, the writer directly, and the publisher share that needs to be collected by an external publishing entity. If you don't have one of those, you're missing out on some money. Just want to let you know. So there are three main royalty streams. Maybe I shouldn't say streams because streaming means something else today in 2026. Revenues, forms of revenue for songwriters. The first comes from PROs, performance rights organizations. Those are your BMIs, your ASCAP, and your CSAC. So that money comes in from public performance. So whenever you have a public performance, if you're performing at the Apache Cafe in Atlanta, if you're performing at a baby shower, right? Songs that you have registered on those PROs, you can go and say on November 2nd, I'm performing these songs, list the songs, and they will send you a check for that. So that's how you get your performance royalty. The second main stream of income is the mechanical royalty. That comes from anytime your music is reproduced in any way. So if it's reproduced in a stream on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, or Amazon Music, etc. If it is digitally downloaded from the Apple iTunes store, or Bandcamp, or if the one we love the most, physical sales are sold. So we get the biggest check from selling vinyls or CDs or merchandise, right? Then our third main stream of income comes from the master side. So those were some compositional streams, and now we have our master side. We have our digital master performance royalty, which is going to be collected by Sound Exchange. And that's going to be for non-interactive radio airplay. So now let's segue into our split sheets and paperwork, because, as a creative, we don't like to discuss those things, right? So you want to make sure that you discuss, even though we love to discuss the creative and we don't want to get into the business side, a lot of people say it kills the vibe, it kills the this and kills the that. I'm of the belief that there's nothing that kills a vibe than when opportunities arise, but you haven't done the necessary business. And so you're missing out on opportunities and the check, because of a vibe, So before you even get in the studio and begin co-writing, begin writing, begin collaborating with other creatives, you guys want to sit down, maybe over coffee. I love a good tea date in the morning, over a tea date, and discuss how are we going to split things. I was on a call yesterday with a potential co-producer for some things. And we discussed, okay, so if we move forward, what's the budget? And how are we going to split things? Are we going to do an even split, as they call it, a Nashville split? And so all that business is discussed up front. So as we move forward, it's all creative. Everything from here on out is creative. So that's something important to do. You want to make sure that whatever is on your split sheets matches the metadata in the system as well. All of your business needs to be consistent on every platform. So when you register your songs on BMI or whichever PRO you use, I'm a BMI-en, BMI-en. So on your BMI, so for me, I have to make sure my my ISRC codes are the same on BMI, Sound Exchange, MLC, everywhere. So you want to make sure there's consistency there. You want to make sure everyone's on the same page. You even want to keep your BMI or other PRO information handy. Like I have a note now in my phone. I have a publishing company also through BMI, Hall and Co. Publishing, shameless plug. And so when an artist reaches out to me and they say, what's your PRO information? I have a document note in my phone that's labeled BMI plus publishing information where I can go, copy, paste, is sent. So you want to get all this stuff down so that you're efficient, straight to the point, and you got everything there. It takes a while. You have to get used to it every time you do a song, but get in the habit of doing these things. Yeah. And so a lot of mistakes I see people doing, overall are only joining a PRO, not having their sound exchange or MLC. MLC hosts many events. I see their name all the time. They have great branding and promotion. So you want to follow them on Instagram and other platforms so that you can be up to date with their webinars and their events. That's for the MLC. BMI has a calendar on their website for events that you can go to and stay up to date with. And yeah, so make sure you're registered for all those things. Make sure you have a publishing entity as well. As I said, I have Hall and Co Publishing, and make sure you have the documentation of your splits. That's important. So you want to make sure you Google or have AI create you a split sheet using research, of course, so that because having something said verbally is a contract, it's a verbal contract, but you want to have written contracts. So if anything goes awry, you can actually have legal representation to uphold what both parties agreed upon. For example, if you send a one-way email and you say, we're going to do three-way splits, if the other party doesn't reply and confirm, that is null and void. You need a dialogue both ways of the proposed contract and an agreed contract. So even if there's no signature, you at least want someone to agree so that it can be upheld in a court of law. All right. Now, segueing from the business into the creative, we have my first guest, and a great friend of mine, a beautiful spirit, beautiful voice, beautiful person, all around, Miss Jasmine Janaye, which I will be bringing on. Now, Jasmine is
Unmute, Travis. Unmute.
I'm back. Jasmine is an incredible songwriter, vocal producer, vocal arranger, instrumentalist, performer, and businesswoman as well. She's recently performed at the City Winery. She's performed in festivals. She released a wonderfully beautiful EP that really touches the soul. And so I'm going to bring her on. So glad to have Jasmine Janaye on today with us.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hi.
hey, thank you so much for being here, love.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. How's your Saturday going?
So far, so good. I got up early, did my morning pages, went to hot yoga, got my tea over here with me. Like I'm good. I'm having a lovely day.
With a lovely background.
Yeah, this is my little home studio. You can't see all my equipment and stuff everywhere. It's a mess over there, but we're good over here.
Okay, listen. So I spoke about a little business. So speaking of business, you've worked in the corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
You have experience with 9 to 5s.
9 to 5s, 9 to 9s, all of
Oh,
it.
baby, all of it.
Yeah.
So, what was it like in that world, and what pushed you to transition? Like, what was your journey like? What was the journey like? Were you ever
Yeah.
comfortable there in that place?
Yeah. That word is was I ever comfortable? I feel like I can say yes, but it's like a different version of me that was comfortable. You know what I mean? So my background, I was very much like the kind of straight-laced A student, golden child, whatever, doing all the things that, parents love to brag about. And so it felt kind of like the only option, and not even in a negative way, but in terms of, going to college, graduating, and getting your first real job. It just seemed like in terms of the environment that I was in, the people that I was around, that was the path. It was like, you can figure out what lane you want to row in corporate, but the idea was that you're going to go get a real job, start earning money, and then build your life from there. And so I started out, I actually used to work for the NFL. I started in sort of like the corporate side of the sports and media world. I was living in New York and working there. And in a lot of ways, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. I learned a lot. I worked with some incredible people, got some really awesome experiences. But through working there, from there, I pivoted into consulting. I worked in tech for a while, and I kind of got to this point where I realized I was like, oh, everyone around me seems to be sort of like hitting their stride, and they're getting promotion after promotion, or they're making these big leaps and seeming to really enjoy it. And so I remember having a few conversations with like college roommates, and here I am thinking like, okay, we're all kind of, struggling and faking our way through this and pretending to enjoy it, and talking to them and just hearing how they would light up about their work and light up about all these different possibilities and opportunities. And, I'll spare the corporate jargon, but imagine sitting on, at the beach at a bachelorette party with friends, and they're going back and forth talking about the different business deals that they're working on and stuff. And I was like, oh, y'all are really into this. I'm the outlier. Like, I'm the outlier here. Like, I thought I was, kind of playing along just like everybody else was. And so the thing that sort of pivoted me out of that actually came out of the pandemic. So that 2020 time when everything sort of shut down and shifted, I was working for a company based here in Atlanta, and literally overnight we shifted to a complete work from home, like remote work environment. So I was sitting at home most days on Zoom doing my little job, and it just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to do this forever. Like, I don't think this is how I'm meant to be spending my time. And so through that period of time, I ended up starting to just explore different creative stuff again. Like, it had been years since I'd done anything musical. I used to sing in college. I always used to play piano. It had been so long since I'd even done some of that stuff. So taking the time to just get back into my hobbies, because honestly, I was bored. I was in the house bored. I was in the house bored, and I was not enjoying my job. And so it was just kind of like those little tiny seeds that came back from me just like digging back into the things that I enjoyed. And that's what started me on the path to basically pivot to a more creative career.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So were you writing while you were working in corporate America?
Oh yeah, I recorded that entire EP pretty much on the clock. It doesn't matter. Don't tell them that. The job still got done. The work still got done.
Okay.
But yeah, so the last position that I was in, it was, again, I was still working remote, and it was like a more client facing role, but I did have a lot of autonomy over my time, to the kind of just in the sense that as long as things got done, I could arrange my calendar how I needed to, schedule meetings how I needed to, and I could work on emails from the studio while I was going back and forth with working with the producer. And so I think I started the process of recording my first songs before I even knew it was going to be an EP in 2023. And I had actually just gotten this new job, and I'm like a month or two in, and I had also applied for this camp with ATL Collective, which you're also familiar with, and got into this songwriting camp. And it's a week long experience. It starts early in the morning, goes all the way through the afternoon and the evening. And so I'm telling my new boss, as I'm pretty much just finishing onboarding and just getting introduced to clients, like, hey, I'm actually going to need about a week off because I'm doing this songwriting camp. And to her credit, she was like, oh, that sounds amazing. Like, no one here ever does anything cool like that. And so she was supportive, and, we made it work for that week with me kind of having to hop in and hop out. But through that experience, because, for folks who aren't familiar with a songwriting camp and how that works, essentially, for this kind, at least, you're grouped different writers, musicians, vocalists, producers. You're paired with these people, put into a studio for, in our case, 2.5 days. And it's like just go. You know, you might have a brief, it may give you a specific topic or specific parameters, but in our case, it was pretty wide open. And the very first camp that I did, in that 2.5 days, we wrote, recorded, and had fully produced 4 songs. 4 brand new tracks that did not exist before. And that just opened something up for me. It completely demystified the process of what it took to write music and create songs that were, you know, studio quality. And essentially all that was left to do was mix and master. Like the songs were really ready to go. And so from that experience, I was just like, oh, what am I waiting for? And so I just kind of went back into, you know, the voice notes and had my little demos in GarageBand that I had created so far. And from there, I ended up just completely by chance getting connected with a really great producer, and we started working together on it. And I was literally scheduling meetings in the morning and then going to the studio at like 2 p.m. and checking Slack messages over on the side in between takes to make
Well,
sure I was, you know, staying on top of everything. But yeah, that's really how it started for me. So I kept the 9 to 5 rolling while I was producing that project.
well, I love that because I'm very interested in people's journeys. And I love how you say, though you found so much success in the business world, you sat down one day and said,
I
one
was
of
like, I
these
don't
is not
belong
like
here.
the others, you know? And I tell people, I made a Facebook post a long time ago, and I said, if I had to tell the younger Travis one thing, what would it be? And it would be pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so
Mm-hmm.
you paid attention, and not that you judged yourself in relation to other people, which you don't want to do, but you said, I don't feel, you listen to the
Yeah.
inner voice, and you said,
Yeah.
this doesn't feel, something isn't the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, what you were able to find at
Yeah.
the collective writing camp, you
And then
know.
it turns out the signs apparently were always there, because then when I did start, you know, dabbling in music and starting to perform more, starting to write, all the way to when I made the leap to say, hey, I really want to focus energy on this. I remember being kind of nervous to tell some of my friends, because it's like, you know, here they are, these like big, you know, corporate success and all that kind of stuff, and me being like, yeah, like I'm just gonna go and wing it over here and like figure out this music thing, figure out this artist thing. And everybody was like, oh yeah, duh, that makes so much sense. We never understood how you ended up working in tech. We never, and I was like, why did y'all say anything? Y'all saw me over here struggling, fumbling. But again, it's like, you know, back to the question of being comfortable. It's like I was comfortable, and that maybe was part of the problem. I was just comfortable, you know, I wasn't excited by it. I wasn't energized by it. I honestly wasn't even challenged by it. And that's not to say that these people aren't doing, you know, difficult and
Things,
challenging and important work, but it wasn't the kind of stuff that was lighting me up. So yeah, I'm glad I saw the light early enough to make a pivot.
oh, I love that. I love that. I'm happy
Hmm.
about that for you. So, were the first songs that you started, when did you write? When did you write? What was the first song on this EP? And
Mm.
when did you write it? Like, when did you write the
Oh,
first song for this EP?
you know what it actually was? So the first song, ironically, is the song that I performed the least. In fact, I don't think I've ever performed it live. It's Vivid Dreams, on my EP. And I actually wrote it. So in 2022, yeah, I believe in 2022, I did this online course with a platform called Studio. And if you've not heard of that before, what Studio is, it's kind of similar to Masterclass, but it's like a 30-day program. And so for the one that I did, it was hosted by her, singer-songwriter, the artist her, and they have all, you know, different songwriters, producers, musicians, DJs, like whatever kind of creative stuff that you're into. And they basically do this 30-day crash course. And the idea for ours was that you're going to come out of the end of this with 2 fully written songs, like ready to take to the studio. So
Wow.
you're placed in this cohort, you get a few other people in your pod, and you have these video lessons that you're watching daily. You have assignments that you're doing, you're posting it in the forum, you're sharing, you're getting feedback from your cohort, giving feedback to others. And going through the courses, her who was leading it, she was just kind of talking us through her songwriting process, you know, and she's like not saying this is the way to do it or the only way, the best way, but this is a way, it's my way. And, you know, take the pieces that resonate and then use whatever else you got to make it happen. And so going through that course, and I forget what or no, I do remember kind of what the prompt was, but I don't remember what the prompt was, but I remember what I got out of it was there's a phrase, there's a lyric in that song called, it's something about a memory from the future.
Mm.
And whatever the prompt was, that's the sort of phrase that came out of it for me. And so I built the song around that. And when I got to the end of it, it ended up being this very like somber, kind of sad, almost like reflecting on a breakup type of song. And I wrote it during that course. I was really happy with it. Like because I was playing piano on it. It was kind of the first thing that I had really just put together on my own. And when it came time to actually record it, I used that same sort of like piano melody, piano. But yeah,
Well,
Vivid Dreams. That was the first one that I wrote that ended up on the EP.
so the first one you wrote and produced.
And produced, yeah. I have to
Okay, let's
give
not
I
leave
have
that
to have to
out.
remember to give
Okay.
myself that little credit
Okay.
there.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How do you feel it is being, because I noticed you didn't mention producer. Do you feel like being a woman, a Black woman, do
Mhm.
you often feel that it's safer to say songwriter only, or what do you think keeps you from
Yeah.
stepping into both?
Truthfully, I definitely think of myself as a songwriter first. That's the thing I enjoy the most. That's the thing I've honestly been doing the longest. I can even go back to journals from childhood, and I even remember some of the songs that I was playing around with on piano, or when I was trying to learn guitar, and things that I've written as a child. So I think that one feels the most familiar and the most true. And everything since then has sort of like been building on that. Like I wouldn't have even considered myself a singer, like I sang, like I could sing and I liked to sing. But in college, I sang with an a cappella group, and that was the first time that I kind of, started sort of finding a solo voice. But I was so happy. I love singing background and harmonizing. And like, this, I think anytime we're together and sing a song, like here I
It's a
am finding a
harmony.
harmony. And so I think I'm just kind of learning to start to embrace these other titles and these other roles and these other facets of artistry. And then when it comes to production, truthfully, I think the main reason I shy away from it is because I am just fortunate to be surrounded with so many friends who are incredible producers. And so when I look at what I do and when I look at what they do, I'm like, oh no, that's a producer. Like they're over there producing. I produce well enough to get the demos solid so that I can take them to someone who can help elevate it. But that's a skill set that I haven't, I can't say I've developed to the same extent just yet, but I still claim the title because at least for the songs that I've written for myself and things that I've created and putting out there, I'm really actually quite proud to be able to say that, I was, fingers to the keys putting it together.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a great feat, because to jump from a 9 to 5, 9 to 9, corporate America, world, Harvard University graduate, over to you're even producing. There are people who
Yeah,
have been writing forever and can't play keys and can't produce their demos out. And so that's how you
you're
know it was
right.
an innate gift, even for
Mm.
producing. The fact that
I
you
received
naturally,
that. Thank you.
yeah.
I received that because I think I forget that sometimes it's like the things that come natural to us or the things that come easy to us. It's so easy to discount it as just like, oh, that's just a little thing I do. Meanwhile, there's somebody else who's paying a lot of money and going through a lot of classes and
Trying
still
to do the thing you
not
did.
trying to do the thing that I just, honestly just kind of stumbled into or was really born into. I have a very musical family, especially on my mom's side. So there's so much of that I think I absorbed as a child, just growing up around it before I even could have separated it, as like oh, this is a thing that I'm learning or this is a separate thing that I'm picking up.
Speaking of your childhood, so how was it growing up? You mentioned your mother was artistic?
Hmm.
Was your father artistic as well, or do you think, or was there a
Yeah.
blending of artistic and
Definitely a blend in a really interesting way. So growing up, my mom she's like sings like an angel, also plays piano. And so I would tag along with her to like choir rehearsals and things like that, or sometimes she would play piano in the house, but a lot of it was just in the car. And she was like a strictly gospel, like that was her lane. And so there, like to this day, there's some gospel songs that it'll come on and I remember every note, every breakdown, every ad lib, and I'm just like, why do I know this? And it's like, because riding around in the car with my mom, and so she, I think, sort of like brought that appreciation of just like that specific genre and that gospel is just a specific kind of artistry. Like I feel like it's one of those things where if you you either feel it and you get it, or it just, it's another world to you. And so that was one side. And then with my dad, he's not musical in terms of, he's not like a singer, musician, doesn't play, but his taste in music and his ear for music is impeccable. And so I credit a lot of my, like, the breadth of music that I have been able to just like enjoy and appreciate. I credit that to him. And so I used to always tell this story. One of my childhood best friends, and still one of my closest friends to this day, one of the earliest things that I remember us bonding over was Alanis Morissette's album, Jagged Little Pill. And here I am, this little, black girl in Mobile, Alabama. And first of all, it's kind of like, oh, interesting that you know and love these songs. And then as we were talking about it more, we both discovered that we had stolen the albums from our dad's collections. Like I stole that CD
Wow.
from my dad. And so listening to music with him, it's like, you could pretty much go station by station, in the, like, when you're in the car, back when people used to listen to radio more in the car, and you had the little button, your little presets. And so, it's like I remember the light, the like, easy listening station, the smooth jazz station, the classic rock station, the country station, the old school station, the oldie, like all of that kind of stuff. So I would tell people from Stevie Wonder and James Brown all the way to, like Sarah McLachlan and Alanis Morissette, like we were listening to it. And so I think the fusion of those both, like my mom having the musical talent and the, as a singer and as playing piano, and then my dad just having an ear for good music, good writing, regardless of the genre, like put all that together, and that is very much like my musical personality.
Wow. So do you have any, you mentioned Stevie and some James Brown. Do you have favorites? Who are your top? I mean, I know we're all influenced by multiple
Yeah, so
people.
many. Yeah.
So who, I mean, but who do you think influences you the most that you would say?
Yeah. So I would say when it comes to the writing, like songwriting, like the lyrical composition, the musical parts, Stevie Wonder is definitely one of them. Like Songs in the Key of Life is my forever favorite, but there's so
Mhm.
many, like the catalog.
Classic.
His catalog is just ridiculous. And for me, I used to always love just the imagery that he could pull together and the storytelling, like the things that he could weave. Like to this day, like I'll think about songs on that album, and I have like there's like a certain movie reel almost that plays in my head associated with those songs, just because as a kid listening to them, it just, brought this whole world to life. So he's one of my songwriting influences for sure. Lauryn Hill is another one. I think she had a way with her lyricism of just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it's very, very earthy, but also very, very raw. And she has a
Yeah.
lot of, there's some songs like you have to listen to them a couple of times to be like, oh, like this song is not actually about a man that she loved. This song is actually about her, journey with her son, or her relationship with her son, and kind of those sort of things. So I enjoyed that. Yeah, I enjoyed that sort of perspective on songwriting. And then when it comes to performing and vocally, a lot of my influences are jazz. It's the jazz legends, it's the Sarah Vaughan's, it's the Ella Fitzgeralds. I love the way that they sort of like use their voices truly as instruments. It's not just, hey, we're opening our mouth and singing a note to sing a note. It's like, no, we're giving you an entire, violin phrase layered over a horn line. It just happens to be coming out vocally. So yeah, I think that's where a lot of my influences come from.
I feel like all of those influences are heard in your music, from the storytelling and the picture painting to the tasteful and beautiful virtuosic vocals that you give, the
Thank
virtual
you.
your
That
music.
means a lot coming from you. Thank you.
No, 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 no. You, darling, you. So speaking of Note to Self, which is her EP that we're discussing, I should have mentioned that earlier. Note to Self, amazing
Yeah.
EP. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You describe it as the mood is playful, somber, yet
Mm-hmm.
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
What do all those things mean to you musically? Was that by design when you set out to
Yeah.
write the EP, or is that what flowed from within you?
Definitely the latter. That's just how it came together. So when I first started writing this music, I didn't really know what it was like. I was still just in rediscovering the interest, rediscovering the passion. So I didn't necessarily even set out to record an EP. Even when I first got in touch with or got connected to my producer, Madiak, who helped like shape a lot of the sound for us, there wasn't really like a brief, like I didn't have a brief, I didn't have a mandate, I didn't have a track list. I was just kind of like song by song as they were coming together, or as I was, choosing which ones I felt ready to record. And then when I looked back and I was like, oh, like I think, one or two more songs and we have a project here. Like
Wow.
there's a story being told here. And so it really just kind of came out of that a little bit more organically than it probably than it may seem. And so when I go back and listen to it, because I had done, going back to the corporate hat, because again, I've done strategy, I've done marketing, I've done communications, I've done like all the different things. And so when I sort of decided, hey, I want to make this a project, I want to make this an EP, and I want to put it out, I started thinking about like, okay, now how do I package it? Like, how do I put this together? And so one of the things that I did, I actually created a little survey and did kind of like a digital focus group, if you will, sent it out to friends, family, other people who I knew in music who weren't yet collaborators, but some of them who I've gone on to work with. And I, had simple questions. The first one was, just rate the song, like, do you like it? Like, when you listen to this song, are you like, no, turn it off? Or are you like, ooh, I like this, put it on repeat? And then I asked for descriptions, like, what does it make you feel? I'm a big person on somatics and just like getting into the body, and just like, like, what does this make you feel in your body when you listen to it? Are there any memories that come to mind or stories that come to mind? And I just let them say whatever. And so the things that people were putting into the survey just kind of put a whole different light. Like they were getting things that I didn't even get out of it. They were hearing the lyrics in different ways and hearing the music in different ways. And so I was like, oh, like there's actually a lot of range here. When it's all in your head, or when it's all coming from you, it's just like, oh, these are just my thoughts and feelings. Like it kind of really felt like all one thing. And then hearing some of their responses back to it, I'm like, oh, there are moments of levity in here and playfulness. Oh, there are also moments of where it's really somber and contemplative. There are other parts that are really introspective. And so it was just an exercise, because once I looked at it, it was very obvious, like, oh yeah, all of this is here, all of this is true, all of this came from me, is embodied in me. But it took stepping outside of it a little bit and letting other people sort of give me their reflections on it for me to really be able to extract what exactly it was and put it together.
I love that. I agree with that 100%, even as a writer, because I tell people I don't have any physical children yet, but the songs are children to me.
Yeah,
And I
they're
think
born
as
from us.
parents of
Yeah.
them, yeah, and as parents of them, we want to shape them. We're birthing them, and we're like, this is what you are. You
hmm
do this. I wrote you to do this. And so it was very smart of you to and for you to not only release it into the world and opinions of other people and receive those
Yeah.
and interpret how multifaceted your children are, and not hold them to what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Because had it been just me, or had it been only, without that sort of additional perspective, first of all, there's one song that I don't think I would have kept on there at all. Like, I don't think I would have kept Chances at all, until I sort of understood how it was resonating beyond what I thought. And there are other songs that I probably like. Again, going back to like the packaging of it, which is, I feel like that maybe sounds a little bit more business and corporate like than the creative side, but it's part of it. It's like, especially as independent artists, like we have to wear all the hats and do both of those things. And so even the way that I ended up ordering the tracks and the track list, it tells a story. Like the very first song on there, called "She's Gone," is actually a lot more literal than people might realize. But I wrote that song 2 days after I quit a job that was draining me. Like the whole first verse is basically me telling the story about how I looked at the clock and I was just like, I'm about to be out of here. Like, it's about to be a wrap. And then it just kind of goes from there about how, leaving that job just like completely opened me up to just have the space to start charting this new path and creating this new life. So that's sort of like the beginning part of it. And then it flows into Better, which kind of talks about when you're looking at stuff and you're just like, oh, I don't know if I've made the right call here. I don't know if I made the right decision. Like I know some things that I can do better now. And so it's like comes from that saying of once you know better, do better. And it's like me talking through those moments. It goes into Sunflower, which now like the middle part of the album gets a little more or a lot more introspective and more vulnerable and sort of like admitting those moments of uncertainty and doubt. And, you feel that through Sunflower and Vivid Dreams. Then you go to Chances, again, the one I almost cut. And that one talks about what it's like. That one's a little sort of like a play on meaning for me because it's written in a way that sounds a little bit like a love song or like a, kind of like a flirtatious, like, oh, like, is this someone I want to take a chance on? But it's really more about, taking a chance on yourself or taking a chance on a new idea or a new version of yourself. And then you go straight from that to Note to Self, which is the, title track from the project. And also the last song ended up being the last song that I wrote. It didn't have a title for a very long time. Like every draft coming out of the sessions and, the demos that I was putting together was just like Untitled version 3, Untitled version 7, Untitled, Untitled, Untitled. And it was completely, almost completely finished. I think the only thing I had left were the lead vocals. And that's when I just sort of like came up with the title Note to Self, because that's what it was. It was really a reflection of the whole journey of, everything that I'd sort of lived through the previous 6 songs, everything that I'd sort of lived through the previous year and a half of writing it. And that was my moment of like affirmation, but it's also like a prayer and like a vow, like, okay, like I'm gonna like go all in. Like I'm going to like, this is my note to myself. This is my reminder. This is my affirmation. This is my manifestation. Like it's all of that sort of wrapped up into one. And that's what rounds it out. That's what sort of wraps up the EP. So when I talk about it that way, it's like, oh, wow, like you had such a clear strategy and plan going into it. And I'm just like, no, like everything was written all out of order. And it wasn't until, having all of the songs done and zooming out that I realized like, oh, this is where all the pieces fit.
Yeah, I personally, people have told me about my album, they'll say, everything sounds so cohesive. And I'm like, it's not intentional. I tell people, I think again,
Yeah.
songs are like children. If you listen to the child and to the song, and if you listen to where you are, it will lead
It'll
you
tell
to
you.
where it should be. And I know that sounds
Absolutely.
very voodoo-ish, but I believe it.
I do too.
You know,
Yeah, because I would not have used cohesive as a word to describe my album. Even though again, people do tell me
you're
that
very cohesive.
because I feel like track by track almost you've got a different genre. It's like it starts off, I've got the kind of like soul rock with a little bit of jazzy vibe, and then it turns into, I feel like Sunflower is like a indie folk kind of song type of thing. Chances sounds like a more traditional jazz trio. Note to Self kind of leans into neo soul. So I'm like, you could take any one of these and create a whole new sounding album just, using the sort of like sonic qualities of that song or that particular piece. And so I do think there's some, I don't know. I think it's really interesting that even with all of the different genre bending and sort of like sonic choices, that people can still tell it's me. They're like, oh yeah, this feels like you are, or I understand you as a result of sort of listening to these songs and spending time with your music. So I'm like, okay, there's the proof. I'm there. I'm in it.
You're there, you're in it. And it's
Mhm.
only the beginning, a great beginning.
Only the beginning. Yeah.
What are your favorite songs on Note to Self? Like, what are the songs you're the most proud of? Looking back in
Yeah.
retrospect.
Yeah, well, I will say my favorite song is still Sunflower,
I love
which
Sunflower.
is
Sunflower is my favorite.
is it really? Wait, that
It
makes me
really
so
is.
happy.
It's
So
such a beautiful song. Oh my
thank
God.
you for saying that. Quick aside, and I will get back to the question, but back to the survey, the focus group that I mentioned. I was so sure that Sunflower was gonna be, the favorite among people. It ranks like at the bottom. I was like, oh, nobody's surprised me so much. But again, just goes to show it's like once you put it out in the world, it's no longer yours. It's for people to sort of absorb and consume however they will. But Sunflower is my favorite. I love it because it's very simple. Like the whole song is actually just two chords, back and forth. If you actually listen to it, it's two chords. We're just going back and
Wow.
forth, D and G, D and G. That's it. And it is a very, I think it's the one that has the most sort of nat elements of nature. Like there's sounds of wind going throughout. It opens up. There are birds in there. There's some kind of like shimmery sparkle sounds that I use to represent like sunshine and stars. There's ocean waves that come in and go all through it. And so I love that one because it's like, you can sort of put on headphones or, lay on the floor and put it in your good speakers. And you're just like, the whole soundscape can just sort of wash over
Watch
you
over
and
you.
just take you somewhere. And then other than that, I would say Note to Self is my other favorite just because I think it has the most meaning for me. I think it's the one that I still play myself, that I still listen to myself
Mhm.
the most, and it has a lot of the lyrics in that have come from things that I wrote in my journal or things just like affirmations that I would sort of use and tell myself all the time. And it just so happened that when I sat down to write that song, all of this is I think the only one, maybe the only one, definitely the one I remember that I sat down and wrote in one sitting. Like just sat down and it all kind of like poured out and flowed out all at once. And so, yeah, it just kind of takes me back to that moment a little bit. And I think we were able to do some really cool things with the arrangement in that one as well that make it a favorite for me.
Well, kudos to you. I have yet to have a song where I can sit down and write in a sitting. I get everyone's like, yeah, we wrote this song, we wrote this hit, and I'm like,
hmm
why
Yeah. It
Sunflower is
comes
so
how it comes
beautiful.
though. It comes through
Comes
how
how
it
it
comes
comes.
through. Like we're just the vessels. I always say, so many of the songs is like I can't even remember specifically, writing, pen to paper, the specific lyric or what was going through my head at the time. A lot of times it's like you're just kind of in that space and you get into the flow state and it's like
And
whatever
that's what it is.
comes, it just comes. Yeah.
That's what it is.
hmm
That's such a beautiful song. When I hear Sunflower, you just feel, I feel that you love it.
You do. I do love
It is
it.
just the
Yeah.
melody. So I reach for
Oh, not you singing my song back to me. Yeah.
it's just like and like how you paint that's why I reach. You're
you
painting the
you
word
feel it.
reach.
You feel it. You feel it.
I'm like, this is my
Yeah.
jam. You know,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. Because even my favorites on my album, I'm like, why don't people love these songs?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm like, that's clearly a lesson for me for the next projects. I'm like,
hmm
do what you do and be like, which songs do you like?
Yeah. And you just I say you click upload and hope for the best. It's like you put it out there and hope for the best. And we just have to trust that I will say this has probably strengthened a lot of my like faith and spiritual work, just like being in this process because you really have to trust that the work that you have put in and the journey that you're on is going to take you where you need to be because everything like there it's not predictable, like again coming from the background that I had work wise, things are pretty predictable. If I do these actions and hit these metrics and meet these goals, like the success will come, or that is the success. Whereas here you can write the most incredible track with the most perfect vocals and the best instrumentation, and you put it out there into the world and you don't know what's going to happen. You give your best shot, you put work behind it, you market it, you promote it and all of those things, but it's like there are just no guarantees. And so you just have to trust that, hey, it's going to land where it needs to land, it's going to resonate with the people who it's meant to resonate with, and everything else that's out of my control, I release it. I just have to
Okay,
release
you got to release
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing challenges your spirituality like pursuing your dream.
Whew. Tell me about it. Yes.
Because every day is an exercise in faith, baby. I'm like,
hmm I'm
I
like,
don't see it, but it's there.
who chose this? I'm like, who's in charge here? Who let me do this?
Okay.
Who authorized this? I
Okay.
think about that a lot. Like somebody should have stopped me from quitting that good job. Somebody should have yanked me by my neck. But no, I kid. all things are coming together, all in due time. But yeah, there's this journey is not for the faint, man. It is not for the weak.
At all. And speaking of things coming together, other things have sprouted like
Yeah.
sunflowers for you that you envisioned.
Yeah.
Like you recently had a show at City Winery Atlanta.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that was incredible. So I got to perform at City Winery with ATL Collective, which is ATL Collective is just they are fully cemented in my journey and my like origin story as an artist. Micah Dalton, the founder there, I even remember having a conversation with him long before this opportunity came about, where I was just thanking him for just the opportunity to sort of be brought into this community. And so during that first camp, they give you, they assign you with different mentors for
Mhm.
sort of the duration of the camp. And that's how I got introduced to Kari. So Kari Cabral Simmons, incredible bass player, incredible human. And he used to play bass with Sade. So I toured with Sade for many years. And I remember when he had first heard my music, one of the first things that I remember him saying, like he talked about my voice and my tone and how it reminded him of Sade and all of these different songs. And so it's funny now because I think that was about 3 years ago. That was 2023. And then fast forward, he was the music director for the ATL Collective show, their Valentine's Day show, where they do Sade songs. They cover Sade's Love Deluxe album and then, a few other favorite hits from that song. And he had told me early last year at some point, he was like, I really want to get you on the Sade show. I really want to get you on the Sade show. And then I did a terrible job following up and, responding in a timely manner and all the things that, they get on us artists about doing. But he remembered, and he stayed true to what he had said. And so when it came time for him to start putting together the show and selecting the artists, he made sure that I was a part of it, and so it was really amazing because I was up there with a lot of artists who I have seen perform and love and respect, and it was a real treat to be on the stage with like Lava High, who's become a good friend, TC
Mhm.
Carson, who legendary in his own right, Priska, Brenda Nicole Moore, just everybody, yeah,
Yeah. And you as
everybody.
well at Grace.
And I was right there, yeah, right there in the midst of it. Got to open the show with No Ordinary Love, and then I also performed Smooth Operator. So that was it was a fun, I feel like getting to do those two songs, like two different kind of vibes, and so it was really fun. And then if I can also add another little story in here, so something that it was another reminder again, like I said before, that it's just like everything is coming together like as it should, and things are happening all in due time. And so we finished the first show. So there were two shows that night to do, like an early show and a late show. Both of them sold out, just like incredible crowd. And after the first show, they got us together on the stage. We're taking a photo, and there's this woman down there, and she's flagging me down, saying my name. She's like, Jasmine, Jasmine. And so I go up there to talk to her, and she ends up basically telling me, or she's telling me a lot of stuff, and I just have to ask her. I'm like, girl, I'm so sorry. Can you remind me how we met? Because I remembered her face, but I
Mhm.
couldn't remember how we'd actually met. And she says, here. She said, we met here last year. And I was like, oh my goodness. And she remembered, she
Wow.
was like, we were sitting together because I'd gone to the Sade show, the same Valentine's Day show the year prior. And she told, she's like, I was sitting by you. We were seated at the same table. And I remember asking you about what you did. And you were telling me about how you were like starting this new journey as an artist and a musician and a singer, and how were hoping to be able to perform at a venue like this and on this show, particularly with this guy. And she's like, and you did. She's like recounting the entire conversation in the span of this, like, maybe 90-second interaction. And it just stuck with me so much because I forgot that I had said that. I forgot that I had said it out loud to a
Wow.
stranger at that
Yeah.
point that, like, yeah, like I really want to be up on that stage and performing with this group and working with these people. And sure enough, fast forward a little bit and it came to pass.
Wow, that is amazing. You had
Yeah.
spoken it into existence
Spoken into
and
existence.
worked it into existence. I mean,
Spoke it, work it, worked it, networked it, all of it. But that's actually in Note to Self, there's another lyric. There are a couple lyrics actually, but that's one of them. I have a lyric about to speak ideas into existence is a superpower. Speaking our ideas into existence is a
the
superpower.
superpower.
And toward the bridge in the end is like this one is sort of like my one of the mantras and the prayers, and it goes, words are the spells. What you ever have to sing a song to remember the lyrics? I was like, if I try, so bear with me. But it goes, Words are the spells for the manifestation of all self-expression, the prayers we answer ourselves. Ourselves. Yeah, there's a note. But yeah, even
Come
that,
on.
it's like talking about how everything that we speak, like the words are the spells, like the words are how we spell it out, the words are how we create it, how we manifest it, how we answer our own prayers. Like so often we end up looking outside of ourselves, like we say our prayers and we're waiting for, the big voice from the sky to grant our wish and tell us that it's yours. And sometimes like you already got it, like the higher power has already trusted you with the gift. The higher power has already granted you the gift, and it's on us to use it and do everything that's in our power to make good on that. I feel like that's sort of like the contract that we make with the divine. It's like, you gave me the gift. Okay. Thank you. I receive it. I'm grateful. And in return, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it in service to that higher will. So
Yeah,
I get chills sometimes thinking about it because I get little moments and reminders like that all the time. But yeah, that city winery show was really special for that reason and many more. But yeah, I'm glad I got to do it.
I agree 100%. I tell people all the time um, that the fact that you even dream something means that the door, it's my belief,
Mm-hmm.
it's my belief, but I
Mm-hmm.
believe everything is already open for you in the spiritual realm. That's why
Mm-hmm.
you envision it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why which is to me a
Yeah.
spiritual thing.
Back
Dreaming is
to
not physical, but
back to
it's
that line, the
listen.
memories from the future. That's to me, that's what dreams are. It's like a dream
Mm,
is me remembering something that has happened in the future, which I know sounds bizarre and strange, but it really feels like that sometimes, especially when we're thinking about things that we want for ourselves, that we want to do for ourselves. It's like, why else would I have this thought that I
mm,
could even, yeah, I was gonna say, even with you, like I think about that video shoot that we did for a day and just like how big and how grand that vision had to have been in your head to bring all
literally.
of us together, instrumentalists, skaters, singers, like all this different kind of stuff just in the park in Old Fourth Ward. It's just like, why would I just come up with this? It's like, why would he just come up with this? And
With
it's like,
this.
well, the truth is it was given to him. Like it was probably given to him more than it was, just like created out of thin air
Yep.
in your mind. And so kudos to you as well, because I see a lot of what you do is it seems to me that you are very good at following through on your intuition and following through on the ideas and the seeds that are planted within your mind and within your heart. And I think that is also a gift and a superpower because everybody isn't brave enough to do it. Everybody is not brave enough to put themselves out there the way that you do and brave enough to be seen trying in all of these different realms. And so
Thank
I
you.
applaud you as well.
Thank you. I tell people I think of life as a video game. I have all these
I love a
philosophies that
side quest. Yes.
about think of stuff. I'm like, what? People are like, what? What are you talking about? So I think of life as a video game, and I tell people is my biggest fear is to be older and say, what if, this was for
Hmm.
me. I just didn't try hard enough.
Hmm.
And so for me, the fear of being seen failing is not as scary as being 80 and 70 and saying, wow, I could have been a billionaire. I just didn't, I
Yeah,
screwed up,
yeah. Oh, I feel
And
that. I feel
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting to that point where I think what you described, like where you already are, where getting over the fear of failing or the fear of embarrassment, the fear of whatever it is, all of those things. I can say for myself, it's been recent, like probably even within the last year that I've just been like, whatever, just try it, like whatever. I'm just gonna try it. If it flops, it flops, but there's also a good chance that it won't. So just try it.
Yeah.
Just try it.
And you're good at what you do. I mean, you're good at what you do. So
Yeah.
even if it flops to you, that doesn't mean that it has flopped.
Fair. Amen. I'll take that too
Hello? And
because
that's a
yeah, we're
word I didn't
hard
say to
on our
myself.
say it to yourself because we're hard on ourselves. We're
Okay.
harder on ourselves than anybody else. And but it's because it's because we care, but it's also because we have standards, like and I know this because again, we're friends in real life and we talk about this kind of stuff, but the music that we grew up with and that we listen to still, like, it's just a different caliber, like we're not impressed by just anything. We're not moved by just anything.
Hello.
And so the bar is already high just because of what we've been exposed to. And I think that is one of the things that makes us really wonderful because we care about our work, we care about our craft, and so we produce good stuff. But then the flip side of that, where we have to be careful, is not talking ourselves out of doing things because our level 1 doesn't match the level
A
20 that
million.
yeah, that our inspirations and that our favorites are at. And so I love even just being able to like remember, like, oh, once upon a time, they were in my shoes. Once upon a time, they were a beginner too. And so being in this phase is something to cherish because, like, how funny and wonderful are our documentaries going to be when they look back at all
All the
all the
things.
stuff. Yeah, all
Listen, I
like
told myself,
decades,
I said,
decades from now. Like, oh my goodness, I'm about to say VH1. Oh my goodness, I'm old. I was going to be like, our VH1, where are they now? Like, looking back special. Even MTV has got, goodness, I don't even know what to reference, but
let me
whatever.
cut you off.
Whoever airs the special,
Right.
whoever
Listen.
airs the special, we will have so many stories to tell, and it's going to be incredible.
So I know you have to get up out of here soon. So I do want to talk about what do you have next? Are you already writing
Yeah.
for the next record? Are you thinking of a time to release the next record? And
Yeah.
then I want to get to some closing statements.
Okay, for sure. So yes, there are many, many things in the works. So 2025 came and went before I knew it, and I did not release a single new piece of music. And so the backlog is full. I think at last count, I wrote a lot of songs last year, like well over 50 songs that are like written, and about 30 or so of those, and I'm like, oh, there's something here, these are good. And so we're back in the studio. I'm working with, but also still looking for collaborators, like producers and different instrumentalists that I can work with for this next, I don't know if it's an album yet, but this next series of songs and music that's coming together. So there will be some new music coming out that I'm excited about. And then performing more. I've done a lot of performing in sort of these open mic and jam session spaces, and then getting to do these group concerts like the City Winery show, the Sade show with ATL Collective. But I have visions and I have ideas for a Jasmine Janaye experience that I want to bring to life. And so that will be something to be on the lookout for as well. I don't have any further details yet, but you heard it here first. It will be happening.
We'll be there to cover it, and anything I can obviously do to support. I'm always here. You need VG,
I'll text you.
hello. So you heard that all producers, composers, arrangers, everything.
Yes.
If you're looking for an amazing writer, producer, artist, vocalist, please reach out to Jasmine
Yes. Find
Janaye.
me.
Listen, because if you want that Grammy, that Oscar, that Tony, you need to be with Jasmine because
Yes. We're
okay,
doing it. We're
we don't
doing
want you
it.
calling us once we there. Okay. Where can they find you, Jasmine?
So you can find me on all social media platforms at Hey Jasmine Janaye. So that's HeyJasmineJanaye. It is very long, but just start typing it. It will pop up. So that's the best place to find me to stay up to date on things that are happening currently. And then if you also want to be a part of my more inner tight knit circle, you can sign up for my newsletter at jasminejanaye.com. And that's where I periodically just send y'all some things that are on my mind, on my heart, and more things to look out for in terms of what's coming next.
And as a closing, what would you tell your past self? And what would you say to your current self? And what would you say to your future self?
I would tell my past self that reinvention is fine, and it's also going to be really fun. And so don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to shed the versions of yourself that people have come to know and come to be comfortable with. And then I would tell my current and my future self, I think the same thing. This is something that I say to myself a lot and I share with others. So I'll leave it with you. It's trust the work because it will provide, provided you do the work. And that's the part that we can't forget because I be over here trusting. I'll be over here praying. I'll be over here believing. But if you don't actually put in the work to follow that up, That is what shows that you actually believe. That is what shows that you actually trust that it will come into being. And so the work will provide, provided you do the work.
You need that on a shirt at the next show. You need to sell that as merch.
Well, oh, the merch is coming too. That's why else
Okay,
to go to
baby.
the website. Yes, we're pulling it all together.
Well, I'm so excited. We are, and I'm so excited to have you on today, Jasmine Janaye. I'm so
Yes.
excited for all that you've done and all you're doing and all that you will do. This is only the beginning, a great beginning.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Again, I'm Travis Hall, and this is The Heart Atlanta. You can find me on socials, my radio show at The Heart Atlanta, and you may find my personal page at Travis Hall Music everywhere. Thank you so much. See you next month.